What's going on, you guys? My name's Tynots and welcome to Top 5 Unknowns, 5 terrifying dating stories found online. Number 5. My grandmother had trailers and sheds on the property that she would rent out to people who needed a cheap place to live but had no other options, such as undocumented workers or people with criminal records. Most of them were really nice and just kept to themselves, but then there was Steve. Steve started asking my mom out. She was straight with him and told him no, that she was still dealing with her husband's threats and had no interest in dating for the next several years. But he kept asking, then begging and then arguing. He wouldn't take no for an answer and he started following her around. We'd be at the bus stop and Steve would be watching us from across the street. We'd be getting dinner and he'd sit outside the diner watching us through the window. I'd even see him following me to and from school. We stopped letting my brother walk to his school alone because Steve would follow him too. And then he started whispering outside her bedroom window at night. Every night for hours, the three of us would sit huddled in the dark, listening to Steve ranting and raving, begging and shouting and threatening. He would call my mom his angel, his soulmate, but also a tease and a demon, all the while trying to peer through the blinds. One night during his ranting, Steve had an epiphany. Of course my mom wanted to be with him. Of course she loved him too. The only thing keeping them apart were her children. They could be together once my brother and I disappeared. I can still remember how calm and sympathetic he sounded when he assured her that he'd take care of everything, and that they could be together soon. She didn't have to worry about us anymore, and he would handle getting rid of us. The next morning, Mom contacted my stepdad to ask him how to defend us. My stepdad convinced my mom to tell him the problem. He told her to go home and not worry about Steve anymore, and that he would talk to him. I don't know what my stepdad said to him or what he did, but Steve was gone before I got home from school that day. He'd only taken what he could carry and disappeared. Number 4. This isn't quite a dating story, but more of a story of a close encounter. But I just turned 21 and obviously wanted to celebrate by going to the most popular dance club in my town with a couple of my friends. I'd never had a fake ID or anything, so this is my first clubbing experience. We get inside and we order drinks. I ordered a girly type bottled drink and we drank for a bit and then hit the dance floor. A few guys had asked us to dance and we obliged. Eventually, the second guy ended up dancing with me and gave me quite a weird vibe. He tried to buy me a drink, saying that he would go to the bar and get it for me, so I declined. He asked if he could hold my drink for me while I danced, but I declined. He was being very pushy. Regardless, we continued to hang out for just a few moments and I left when the song changed and said I needed to go back to my friends. So my friends and I hung out for a while, but then eventually went back to the dance floor and there he was. So here I am, a 21-year-old with no clubbing experience, no huge dating experience, feeling uncomfortable with this guy dances with me. I didn't assert myself because I was honestly intimidated. I let him dance near me, kind of vaguely dancing but avoiding eye contact, keeping an eye on my friends, both of who were dancing nearby. Then his hand ran down my arm, lightly grasped mine, and I felt his fingers slide until he was touching my drink bottle. My stomach turned, but I kept dancing, and that's how it went. Every so often he would feel around my hand and drink bottle and then let go. This guy was trying to drug me. Thankfully though, I've been given safety tips for drinking at a club and decided to keep my thumb firmly lodged in the bottle's opening the entire time. After about a minute of this, I felt his forefinger and thumb grasp my bottle thumb as if to confirm or test that my thumb was indeed in his way. And at that moment, the song changed and I saw my friend in my peripheral vision. I made direct eye contact and we found my other friend and went to another club. I sure hope no one else who came in contact with this guy was hurt. Number 3. I met a guy online and we talked for a day or two, but I was at the tail end of my degree and things were getting to be a lot, so I decided not to date until I was done. I decided to delete my online dating profile, but a couple of the guys that I'd been speaking to, I told them that I was only deleting the account to focus on studying, just so they wouldn't think that I ghosted them. One guy in particular I added on Facebook because he seemed cool. Well, eventually he started messaging me more and more and regularly after this, making plans, and eventually he snapped. He was sending me all sorts of horrible things on Facebook, so I just blocked him. But it turns out I'd already given him my number when we'd made plans in the past, so he started calling and calling, leaving voicemails. It was late, so I put my phone on silent and went to sleep. The next morning, I woke up to 37 missed calls and voicemails between 10 p.m. continuing until 4 a.m., as well as a multitude of horrible texts. Now, this was 7 years ago, and you couldn't just block someone on any phone. At first I thought if I ignored him he'd get bored, but after about a week he wasn't slowing down, with dozens of calls a day. So I called the police and they said there was almost nothing they could do. 3 weeks later he's still going strong, but in his text he started saying that he's going to force me to go on a date with him. I won't have a choice and things like that. He ended up making a threat to my life, and I can't remember what he said word for word, but it was essentially girls like you get what they deserve, or something like that, but more clearly threatening me. I contacted the police again, and that was enough for them to step in, and I've never heard from him again. Number 2. I've always been addicted to online surveys, and that was the only reason why I made an OkCupid account. They had really fun surveys, and I did an incomplete or sarcastic profile just to answer them. After a while, I got this message from a guy and I started politely chatting with him. I warned him that I wasn't there to flirt and only do surveys, but we started to become really good friends. Pretty soon we discovered how much anime each of us liked, and that was the main topic of our conversations. When we decided to finally meet, I'm not sure how it happened, but we started to see each other a lot. So there was one night in particular, when he called earlier in the evening saying that he wanted to hang out together later that night, and that he would pick me up at university. And after he's taken his time to get there, I decided to invite him to the elderly gym close to my house so we could smoke and drink together. There wasn't much available, so soon I said that I needed to go home because I had classes in the morning. As soon as we get in the car, he starts moving close towards me. I got really annoyed after turning him down so many times, and I told him I just needed to get home. That's when he started to undo his pants. I freak out a little bit, but then after a few seconds, I jump out of the car and start walking towards my house. Now, I shouldn't have done that, of course, but until then, he didn't know my address completely, and I was very, very tired after a calculus exam that ended close to midnight, and after spending the entire day and night at university, I could already see my house from afar. So I ran toward it, jumped the fence, and ran inside, locking all the doors and windows. When I woke up the next day, I had a message from this guy, in which he said, "I know where you live, I know who your friends are, and I know which university you attend. I love that picture of yours with the high sock stockings." But the thing is, I've never posted this picture anywhere, and I've never shown it to anyone. I deleted my account after that and thankfully never heard from him again. Number 1. I was 19 years old at the time that this happened, single and attending college at a university in my hometown. I still lived at home. I had friends, but I was romantically lonely, so I decided to download OkCupid and give it a whirl. I had friends who'd used the app with moderate success, and I consider myself to be streetwise and knew I could always deactivate it if anything creepy happened. I didn't choose a username that could be directly linked to anything else I have online, and I only posted stuff about common interests like music and movies. Things went mostly fine, but I got a few pervy messages, but nothing too extreme. Then one day I logged into my Facebook and had a chat request. He told me his name was Ryan and he was college-aged, attending school at my university looking for friends. Now, keep in mind, I'd also been in a group on Facebook about finding friends on campus because I felt so alienated there. I thought this guy was from that group, so my messages to him were very friendly and trying to get to know you type chats. The conversation was fine at first, but I thought it was odd that he didn't have a profile picture. He kept begging me for more pictures of myself, but would hesitate when I asked for a picture of him. Then the messages started getting really bizarre. He kept asking me where I was going to be in class, or where I was going the next day. Then finally, he says, "I see you sitting in the Mac lab every day in the library. You're so cute, please talk to me." My blood ran cold. He'd sent an accompanying picture of himself, and I recognized him as a man who'd harassed me on OkCupid before, and who I eventually blocked. He was probably at least 20 years older than me, balding, and extremely yellow teeth. I'm not trying to judge someone based on their appearance, but something in his eyes was wild and just didn't sit right. Somehow he'd found my personal Facebook from OkCupid, and I'm not even sure how. Strangely enough, I'd never seen him on campus and I never saw him again. I blocked him instantly from Facebook and always checked behind my back when I walked at night on campus. For a while, I was worried he was still stalking me at the library, so I changed my locations that I study at. It was all very nerve-wracking. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep updated with our videos.